Welcome to the NCO Journal Podcast. I'm Staff Sergeant Alan Brutus. Today we're discussing the Army Combat Fitness Test, ACFT, with Command Sgt. Major Edward Mitchell from the Center for Initial Military Training. Sergeant Major, thank you for taking the time once again to speak with us.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So before we start talking about the actual test, can you just give me a little bit of information on your organization's role with regard to the ACFT?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can tell you how this came about is that, first of all, the Department of the Army tasked TRADOC to come up with a new Army physical fitness test. And TRADOC tasked CIMT, which we are the proponent of, to come down with our G2 shop, who does research and analysis, and try to figure out what the ACFT is. So that you can understand, part of it, TRADOC tasked us, and we're the ones that actually hosting us, running this for the entire Army.
And for those who are hearing about this ACFT for the very first time, can you just walk me through a little bit about what this new test is going to entail?
Well, I will tell you this right here. This new test is going to entail, you're going to have to take 6 events. And of the 6 events, what you're going to find out, the first one is the max deadlift. The second one you're going to have is the standing power throw. You're going to have the hand release push-ups. You're going to have the sprint, drag, and carry. You're going to have the leg tucks. And oh, by the way, I still forgot to let you know, inside that sprint, drag, and carry, you got to do the lateral as well as drag 90 pounds back and forth. And then after the leg tucks, you're going to have the 2-mile run that you're going to have to go through. So why is this important? Because this entire test is actually based off your warrior task and battle drills. And that's what this test actually derives from.
Okay, so it sounds like it's going to be much more difficult than the current APFT, which has been around for more than 30 years now.
Absolutely. The current APFT has been around almost 40 years. And this will, if you remember back before we came up with the current 3-event PT test, we had 5-event PT tests before that. So what I will tell you is this right here. You will have to get in the gym, and you will have to start working out. You just cannot do push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile runs, and think that you can come and take this new test and do very well on it. What I will say is you will see a lot of people will pass the test, but if you want to be great, you're going to have to work out in order to achieve high scores on this test.
So you had mentioned getting into the gym. Is this something that's going to require units to alter their daily PRT, or how can we as units in the field better prepare ourselves for the upcoming test?
Well, I said gym because most people on their own time, they like to go and do something else besides, what we do in the morning time for maintenance for PT. But what I will tell you, if you look at 7-22, FM 7-22, it has a myriad of stuff you can do in it from PRT. And we came up with a field testing guide that you can use. And what that field testing guide does is give you 3 or 4 exercises you can do for each one of the events that you have to do in order for you to make sure you can do very well at it. Because let me tell you, you don't have to go in the gym and use an Olympic bar. You can use the kettlebells that come with the PRT that you have to do for strengthening in order for you to get to what you want. Or if not, you can go out there and get you some ammo cans. You can go out there and use your litter with sled in order to get the same thing that we're looking at when you talk about the maximum deadlift.
And I know there's been a lot of people talking about this. I'm on social media and, also within offices, people I know, different NCOs. And one of the worries that a lot of them are having is that as of now, there's no alternate events. Is there a plan to implement alternate events, and what might those look like?
Well, what I will tell you is this right here. As of today, there is no alternate events. Now, what I would say to you is after the 2 years of testing that we do, we got 1 year of field testing, and then that's where the Army gets to train themselves up before we get to 1 October of 20th, where they're going to be implementation, because this is a replacement of the current PT test. What this means, we would take this data, and once we get all these 2 years of data collected and analysis, we're going to present it back to our senior leaders, and then they're going to make a decision at that time if we want to have an alternate event or do we need to have some as an assessment in order for you to do in order for each one of the events. But as of today is not, and what I will tell everybody out there today is wait until after the field testing, and we're going to present it back to our most senior leaders, which is General Townsend, the Chief of Staff of the Army, and the Sec Army, and then from there they will make a decision on if we want to implement alternate events or not. Because if you remember, when we came up with the 3-event PT test, there were no alternate events with that either. But after they finished the field testing, they came in with alternate events for some of the events they're getting ready to execute.
And along the same field testing that you were just speaking of, how is this going to help address other factors such as equipping the various units to be able to do this test, or even the development of a scoring system?
Well, see, that's what the field testing is going to do. We want to make sure that we can go ahead and determine what it is. We send out a current scoring system so everybody have a baseline to start from. But that is not what it's going to be when you look at it when we have to implement it in 1 October of 2020. So my point, what I would tell you is, everybody's just going to have to wait until after the field testing. However, what I also tell you is, when you're talking about equipment and organization and units, we got 60 battalions that all of the equipment is going out to that we're doing during this field testing. And the 60 battalion is every type of battalion across the entire army, to include 7 from the National Guard and 7 from the Reserves, which means all compos 1, 2, and 3 will have an opportunity to go through this field testing so we can get data from this before we can make a informed decision from that of what we need to tweak or what we need to add or take away from.
And what would you say to soldiers who are concerned about career implications with it becoming the new tester record?
Well, what I would tell every soldier today, don't worry. And the reason being because your commanders and leaders out there in the field, all leaders out there, which are non-commissioned officers and warrant officers and DOD civilians, will make sure that you will have an opportunity to start training yourself up for this test that we're going to have on 1 October 2020. If you're looking at stunt your career, i.e. when you're talking about promotion-wise, before this comes into FOC, we have almost 11 policies that we have to make sure we take a look at. And that's what the Department of the Army is looking at today, like the promotion system, NCO, schooling, and all this. We don't know how those policies will change, but the data that we get for these 2 years is going to make them have an informed decision. Do we still need to have, for instance, the PT score on the 3355, which is a promotion sheet? Or do we still need to have this inside of NCOS on the OERs? So all of this will play out after that 2 years. But we do have about 11 policies we need to take a close look at, and I can guarantee the Department of the Army has already taken a look at them today.
Why did the Army feel that now is the best time to implement this new fitness test?
Well, I will tell you, it's not just now. This has been in the works for over about 6 or 7 years. And the reason being is because the current Army physical fitness test that you take today, it only is a 40% predictor when you start looking at the warrior task and battle drills if you can do them safely. Because when you start looking at the push-ups, once you start doing your push-ups, they get into endurance. When you start looking at your sit-ups, once you start going over there at 1 minute, you're getting into endurance. And when you look at the 2-mile runs, that's endurance. So you got 3 events right now that focus on endurance, but you don't have nothing that focus on ability, agility, explosive power, or strength. And all the rest of the components of fitness is left out. This test will actually get after it, and we want to make sure that every soldier, when they have an opportunity to go to their warrior task and battle drills, that they can perform the task of the MOS they are in. Because right now, every soldier got to do the warrior task and battle drills. But guess what? The PT test we got today is a 40% predictor. The ACFT is an 80% predictor that you can go out there and do your job when you ask to.
Sergeant Major, have you taken it yet?
I have.
And what are your thoughts on it? Maybe, events that maybe surprised you, or did the sequence of events surprise you as far as the difficulty of performing well on this test?
Well, I will tell you this right here. First of all, I love lifting weights. So when I got into this right here, I can honestly God tell you what I thought was going to be the challenge, it wasn't. The most challenging one that came for me was the hand release push-up. And the reason being, once you go down, you start on the ground and you finish on the ground. But your hands have to come up. So you actually get out of that rhythm that you're used to where I can get up and I used to knock out 75 push-ups or 80 push-ups with less than a minute and a half. I would have finished maximum push-ups. Now you'll find out that it gets more difficult as you start going through when you got to raise your hands up. So that's the only one I would tell you that I have seen where I had dropped in my performance on push-ups. But all that means is, guess what? I just need to start working with the new type of push-up that is called for. But the rest of the leg tucks and everything else, I did not have an issue with anything.
And is there anything else that you want to say regarding the ACFT?
Well, I would tell you this, right? What I would tell everybody is this right here. What you need to understand is that this new ACFT is also getting after readiness. And because of that, with the proper training that we have sent out to everybody, which is the field testing guide, if every leader would sit down and read it and understand it, and they follow that field testing guide, and then they teach their soldiers, because we come up with the holistic health and fitness, which is going to be what we do as an education from as soon as you come through basic training all the way up through the service college, if you look at that war college. So we have every leader across the force understanding exactly what they need to be doing. So guess what? There will be no soldier out there that will not have an idea of what they need to execute and how they need to do it, and they can do it safely. So what I would encourage everybody to do is get their hands on this field testing guide. Look at the equipment list that we already sent out, because a lot of commanders is already ordering it. And guess what? Then you need to make sure that you read it and execute it according to that field testing guide that we give you. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you're not going to have any problems with the ACFT, but more so, you're not going to have any problem with any of your soldiers going there executing it to standard. So I would tell everybody, hey, I need every soldier to understand they need to be on the field. And on the field means you're not on the sideline and you're not in the stands. So if you want to be on the field, then you got to understand this is coming up in 2 years, and you need to start preparing yourself for it now. So thank you for this opportunity to where you had me to talk on side your show, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, Sergeant Major, thank you once again for joining us and being part of the NCO Journal Podcast. My fellow NCOs, you can join in on the conversation by following us at facebook.com/NCO Journal and on Twitter @NCO Journal. Put your knowledge to print, submit articles, and get published through the NCO Journal. Until next time, I'm Staff Sergeant Alan Brutus.